Today on Squally Heifer Adventures, we set sail on the first cold front of the year. We are actually getting out of triple-digit heat. The high for today was 92 degrees. I mean, it felt good. I mean, when you get out of those triple digits. So this cold front actually started blowing through. I got the tail end of it, and we were blowing 21 miles an hour. It was a great blustery day here. So what happened is after I got out, I got the main up. I did have the main reefed. This is the first time I have reefed the main since I've owned this Compact 23, and it reefed good. It has a nice reefing system. So I had it down. When I set up the sail, I knew it was way too much wind to even try to set it up with just a full main. So yeah, I like the way it reefed. I just pulled the reefing line. It's got a quick, easy reefing system, and then I did the 2 reef knots on it, and yeah, it held the sail perfectly. It was great. At this point, I sailed for, I don't know how long I sailed with that main only. I was going a little slow, but my boat was flat. I mean, it was doing great. It was handling the wind. So I said, okay, let's take some confidence. Let's let out some jib. Let's see how much sail we can actually get out here and handle these winds. So what I'm doing right now is I'm setting up my jib. I actually have 2 cleats on the left, and I've got 1 cam cleat on the right. If you'll notice, I don't actually use the winches on my videos yet, because I just pull it in from the back, because this setup now is for a single-handed sailor. It's really neat to sit on the transom and I can pull my jib lines and my roller reefing line without actually having to sit forward and use the winches or those cleats the way they're set up. So I can just stay on the back of the boat. If the wind does get too much, or if I am going to need some extra power, I can just take that line, wrap it around the winches, use the cleats the way the boat comes set up from factory. But I didn't even need those today. The only winch I've actually ever needed was setting up the main. When I actually start pulling that main up, because it was like it to hang up on me. I have fixed the slugs. That does help. That did help a lot with raising the main. But right now I have the jib out. I just pulled it out, and as you can tell, I started heeling really good on this one. It was a little too much overpowered with it. So with the main alone, at about 21 miles an hour, I was underpowered. So here shortly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in that reef.
There we go.
And right now I'm calling out the numbers to see exactly what I was sailing to. What was the wind coming at me? And right here is where I decided I had too much jib out. So I'm going to put a few more wraps in, and I'm going to bring that jib in. And let's just see if I can bring in a little bit more sail, just so that way I'm not heeling over, you know, at 10-15 degrees constantly. I wanted to bring it down to more of a 5-10 degree heel, something more comfortable.
Let's give it a few.
So I had to roll up into the wind,
Come back out.
and then I was able to roll a few more wraps on it, bring that jib in, and that actually made a world of difference right there. Once I rolled it in, you can see I've got quite a bit of it rolled in. I would say I have more than about half of that jib rolled in right there. But this was the setup that I stayed for the rest of the day with that 21 mile an hour winds. So for that little section, I believe the highest I saw was 21.1 miles per hour, holding up my my little wind meter right there. I didn't hold up the wind meter the whole time. I just wanted to see about what I was doing. So I saw anywhere from 18, 19, 20, 21. It was pretty steady winds. It didn't really drop off to 14s or 13s. It was right there from 18 to 21 what I saw. So it was really steady, and I think that's what helped when I set up the boat for these winds, that I didn't have to worry about the gusting, because it really wasn't too many gusts. It was very steady, solid wind on this front. Let's just take a moment and listen to that wind scream through the rigging and into the microphone. It was really blowing. So it was actually time to do my first tack into the wind. The wind's coming from the starboard bow over here, and I just didn't know if I actually had enough momentum to actually tack into these high winds. Tacking into the high winds can get a little difficult, but I hopped over the main a little. I forgot to release the jib. You can see it got backwinded there, and I said, oh no. So I went ahead and released it, got the jib over. So it was definitely a clumsy tack, but you know what? I made the tack into the wind, and it was at that moment I said, oh heck, I'm one of those hooligans that forgot to bring in his bumpers. I brought the bumpers in on the starboard, but I forgot to bring them in over here on the port side. Closed my hatch because I did have a couple of waves come up. So stowed those away, and said, all right, we're doing pretty good. Again, that tiller clutch helps so much. I was able just to pop the tiller clutch in, and it allows me to go up on deck and handle whatever I need to handle without worrying about the boat rounding up or bearing off or whatever it wants to do. So even in these high winds, or moderate winds, depending on where you sail, this allowed me to get away from the tiller even for a couple of seconds and take care of something else on the boat. So I stayed on this course for a while, and it was time to do my second tack of the day. So as I started coming up, I said, okay, let's move the tiller over. This time I remembered to release my jib, but I didn't hang on to the tiller. You saw it coming back at me for a bit. I had to push it hard over again, and then I was able to switch seats, pull in my jib, and keep on going. So this tack went definitely a lot smoother. I had the experience from the first one to know how to maneuver in these higher winds, and I just kept on sailing. Something else you'll notice, I have my Benamy up there on the cabin top, and I do actually have it strapped down to the handholds. I was bringing the Benamy back to the aft and tying it to the pulpit, but I've noticed that I do like it in the forward position when it's cradled, and I can tie it down to those handhelds, and even in these higher winds when I'm heeling around, it doesn't move. It's locked into place. It's basically ready for a storm. It's tied down, and so I'm really happy with the new position of leaving it while stowed. I can actually close the cabin top. It stays over it, so it doesn't get in the way of opening and closing my companionway hatch. While this wasn't a completely relaxing sail, it really was pretty relaxing. Once I got the main set up with the reef, the jib rolled in where I needed it, it really was somewhat relaxing. The boat was not out of control. I wasn't constantly having to release the main, and I wasn't even touching the main. Once I got it set up, I mean, I was just controlling my heel with the tiller, you know, steering in and out of the wind to maintain my course. So, in a lot of ways, it was somewhat relaxing, but it was definitely more mental. So that way, you know, I had to pay attention. Stuff was happening, wind was blowing, and I think I had to stay on my game. But it was definitely a nice sail. It wasn't hectic, wasn't out of control. It was just maintain our courses, tacking into the wind here. So my camera died, and I couldn't actually go below with that wind the way we were sailing along, so I put the Compact 23 into a Hove 2. I put the tiller hard over, you can see it, locked it in with the tiller clutch, released the mainsail, and you can tell that we were still holding ourselves, you know, quarter beam there, and there's the jib back-winded. I didn't roll it in or roll it out. I left it as it was. I could get up on deck. She was nice and stable, and it was great. So that was another practice that I like to do in the high winds. I was actually able to see how she would handle with that 20-mile-an-hour wind, and she just took it. It was great. It was just like you were just sitting there playing on the waves. I was actually able to go below, get something to drink, and nice and steady. So after I came out of being Hove 2, I continued to sail, tacking into the wind, and you'll notice that I was turning around, releasing my jib, getting where I need to be, and my tacks were getting smoother and smoother as I was getting used to the speed of the wind and how the boat moved into it. All in all, it was a great day, and the fact that we were out of the 100-degree weather and we're down into the 90s, that makes an even better day. So winter's definitely coming. It's on its way for us. So if you've made it this far, as always, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next sailing adventure.